Hi there, Jeanne Cregan with this week's video message. Early on in COVID, I did a message about worrying, shared my own struggle with being a reformed worrier. And I shared a quote which really helps me. Worrying is like talking to ourselves about things we cannot change, whereas prayer is like talking to God about things He can change. I think it's a pretty helpful quote in our current circumstances. This video will go live just 2 days after the election. Some of us are happy and some of us are not if the results of the election have come in. If they haven't come in, we're still living in the tension of the last few weeks. The 24-hour news cycle, the constant social media feed, the tension amongst our friends and families, and the divide in our country over two candidates. So today, what do? We've been living in this tension and this anxiety and this worry for a series of weeks, months, maybe even. But I think that the scriptures tell us in one of my favorite quotes, "Have no anxiety at all, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, make your requests known to God. Then the peace that surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." That comes from Philippians 4:6-8. It's one of my favorite passages because it tells us what to do. To make our requests and our petitions known to God. To be grateful for what we have and for what is good, and to make our petitions and our requests known. Praying is like talking to God about the things that He can change. We may not like the results of the election. We may not like or agree with the people around us on certain issues. But what we can do is live out last week's gospel message and try to change the world that way, no matter what candidate is in office. We can love one another and live out that great commission. And I think that St. Paul's letter tells us how. To keep our hearts focused on loving each other and not focused on the things that divide us or divide our country. Make your requests known to God, that the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guide your hearts and minds. Whatever happened on Tuesday has happened. It's now time for what we're going to do moving forward to create a more peaceful, less divided country, community, whatever seems to be stressing us out, families, all of those pieces. Now, what can we do to move forward? I think the answer is, above all things, we can pray. I'd love to hear what you think. Feel free to share in the chat.